On the home front, Democrats are going all out to challenge new state voter election laws. Speaking last week in Pennsylvania, President Biden said laws like the one under consideration in Texas are dangerous.
21st century Jim Crow assault is real. It's unrelenting. And we're going to challenge it vigorously.
Joining us with reaction to that comment and more is political commentator Stephen Broden. He's author of the book Pawns of Change. Also, Pastor Broden is the executive director of the Content of Character series and former adjunct professor of Dallas Baptist University. And he's a former Republican candidate for Congress and recipient of the Ronald Reagan Gold Medal Award. So, Pastor Broden, what was your reaction when you heard President Biden describe revised voting law efforts as Jim Crow and the greatest threat to democracy since the Civil War?
I think that's just nonsense. It's hyperbole of the worst kind. We need to have our elections secure. We need to have fraud and corruption mitigated and removed as much as possible. And that's what the law in Texas is attempting to do, clean up the voter rolls and make sure that legal citizens of the United States or of Texas can vote and vote without having their vote mitigated or nullified by illegals and other false means of voting. So I think this is a good thing that Texas is headed in the direction of.
Since the last election, at least 17 states have now enacted new voting laws, and many Democrats say new rules like those disallowing drive-through voting will suppress voter turnout, especially in minority communities. You agree or disagree?
I disagree. I believe that voting is pretty easy. It's not a cumbersome process. If you've got your voter registration and your ID, you can walk into the voting polls in your community and vote relatively easy. It is not a cumbersome process. I believe that there are some issues, but I think we can resolve those issues and make voting as easy as possible. I believe that in America, we have perhaps one of the best systems available. We not only have a system that allows for all to vote, but we have the capacity to correct any malfeasance or any corruption. And we need to do that because we saw in this last election cycle that there was a lot of fraud that was perpetrated on the process.
Of course, President Biden called that the big lie. But I know in your book, Pawns of Change, you say progressives have used American blacks as pawns to advance their agenda to fundamentally change this country. So please give us an example and explain.
Well, when you look at what is happening in the black community, it seems that we have our vote going to one party. This is not by accident, it is by design of the left, the liberal left, and the progressive and the socialists and the Marxists. They recognize that if they can get the poor to vote for them, they can achieve power and begin to change America. How they have done this is through a number of tools that they have in their toolbox: social justice, critical race theory, intersectionality, critical theory, liberation theology. All of these tools that they use to amplify any race issues that black people in America are sensitive about. And so they amplify it, they embellish it, they enlarge upon it, make it bigger than life, and then say, we can answer your problem if you vote us in. They get voted in, nothing changes, and their agenda advances, and that is to undermine our Constitution and to change America into a socialistic paradigm.
And little changes being made. We see it being played out now more than ever with the advancement, as you mentioned, critical race theory, other efforts to divide Americans based on their color. Why now?
Well, I believe they're at a point where they can flip America, that they have been indoctrinating our children and young people in America with a socialistic paradigm in our schools and in other academic institutions. They are controlling, quite frankly, all of the major institutions that influence us today. I have listed 7: academia, education, the arts, the government, the family, the church, and major corporations. There are 7 institutions that are bowing down to cultural Marxism, which is better known in America as political correctness. And as a result of that, they feel as if they're at a place where they can flip this nation. Now we have an administration who is spending all the money and giving money away in order to bankrupt our economy. And out of this chaos, and this is their theory, out of chaos comes a new order. And the new order that they're seeking to establish is defined by Klaus Schwab, who is the president of the World Economic Forum, who says that we are at a place where we can do a global reset of the economy, of our politics, and of our policies in the earth so as to advance their socialistic agenda. This is not by accident, it is by design. And that's what Content of Character is attempting to do, is to go into the Black community and help them to understand that what is happening here is not organic. It is synthetic. It is designed by the Marxists, who have one thing in mind, and that is to move us towards a world system under which socialism is king.
Okay, the book is Pawns of Change. Pastor, political commentator Stephen Broden, thank you so much for providing those insights today.
You bet. Have a good one.